This is a short demonstration of a RCA TE-236B low frequency tuned radio frequency receiver. This is a massively constructed set. It's only got 6 tubes, but it is an exceptional performer on low frequencies. It covers 15 kilohertz through to about 624 kilohertz. The tuning dial is just a simple numeric readout, which has to be used with a frequency chart to ascertain what frequency you're on. But I've done a calibration on this, and it is absolutely spot on to the frequency chart. So this is quite remarkable. So it's a tune radio frequency set. So you've got an antenna tuner control, antenna trimmer. You've got an AVC, which is an audio AVC circuit, so you can set the AVC level. And it just really clips the audio at a predetermined level, and you can have the AGC on or off. It's got an RF stage trimmer as well as the antenna trimmer, so you can trim the RF stages separately. This is a regenerative control. It's got 2 RF amplifier stages followed by a regenerative detector stage, and you can have it as no regeneration, so you could receive a modulated carrier wave or amplitude modulated telephony in that position, but the audio filtering in this receiver is so tight that audio would be pretty much impossible to copy. It really is designed as a CW Morse transmission only receiver. So regeneration starts around there. You can hear a click in the phones, and then somewhere around here is the optimal point for the regeneration. Phones output. And then this is the RF gain, so it's called sensitivity here. It controls the gain of the 2 RF stages. This is the band change switch. It's got six bands covering 15 to 600. It actually covers a bit more than that, 624 kilohertz. There's an audio filter, and I call it audio tuning here. So you can have it on or off, and you can select the filter at either 750 hertz or 1 kilohertz. And then you've got the tuning dial, which you can see rotating there as a main sort of numbers, and then there's fractions in this dial here. And that's the controls you have on the set. It's quite remarkable that it functions as well as it does. It's also got a DC supply option. You can switch your DC supply on here, and there's also got this strange button here which actually stops the regeneration from oscillating. Stops it from oscillating momentarily as you push the button, just to check you're not listening to a heterodyne from somewhere else. You're actually listening to a heterodyne generated by this set. Yeah, so I've got it tuned to somewhere near its top end of its band. It's tuned to the highest frequency it can cover, which is 624.4 kilohertz on the digital counter over there. And the antenna connections are here, these 3 big connections, and you can hopefully hear the 1 kilohertz tone. I've got the filters off at the moment, so there's no audio filtering. If I turn the regen control down, it'll stop oscillating at about there. It's so smooth, and you can see the audio on the scope over there. So the RF gain control is really your volume control. Switch the filter in, so it's on the 1 kilohertz position now, and as you approach 1 kilohertz, you can see the peak on the scope. And that is at 975 hertz. Frequency counter in the scope is now 977 hertz. It's very close to 1 kilohertz. And the other position is 750 hertz. Peak is around about there. And that's 716 hertz on the frequency counter in the scope. So the filter is very, very close and it's very good. It's an excellent filter. I think most CW operators would have the 1 kHz position. It's the antenna trimmer. RF trimmer. Demonstrate the AGC system. Switch the AGC in. You can see it limited the output. And as you turn the AGC down, you get clipping, and it's asymmetrical clipping. But it is quite effective. And if you listen to CW, it doesn't really matter what the tone sounds like. The receiver is actually receiving about 2 to 3 microvolts at the moment. And I'll turn that down. So it's now receiving about a microvolt or less. So you can see the output remained sensibly constant. So this is doing really well. The spec down to 1 or 2 microvolts. And this is a very, very clear signal at just under 1 microvolt input. And this set is so stable. It is absolutely rock solid. I've got it working on a old Heathkit power supply at the moment, 180 volts plate voltages and 6.3 volts heater. All the capacitors are original paper and oil capacitors. There's hardly any leakage on any of them. I replaced probably 2/3 of the resistors that drifted out of tolerance, and I've done some mechanical repairs to a tube socket down here, replaced some of the wiring that had corroded, done some mechanical upgrades. The tuner mechanism was very stiff. It had solidified the grease, and replaced a choke in the RF stage cathode supply, which was open circuit, and cleaned all the controls, cleaned the tuning gang. And other than that, it's all original. I believe this probably dates from mid to late 1930s, though I found several conflicting dates on the internet. But given that it uses 66 tubes, which was the forerunner of the 6K7, and number 41 tubes in the audio stage and the AGC circuit, these are all 6-pin tubes. They predate octals. I would say it's mid-1930s. And for mid-1930s construction, this is superlative. It really is top-class construction. And as one comment I read on the internet said, it's probably one of the best tuned radio frequency sets ever made. And this is a cut-down version of an RAK-7 receiver. And the difference is the RAK-7 has got two dials here to monitor voltages and so on, and it's got a more sophisticated audio filter with 10 positions. So it's even more sophisticated than this set, but this is absolutely adequate for receiving CW on the VLF frequencies. This must have been a revelation for anybody not used to a set of this quality back in the mid-1930s.